South Caucasus has been always populated by different ethnicities. Talish, Avar, Lezgin, Armenians, of course, Caucasian Tatars, which were later called Azerbaijanis. And of course, there was also the Kurdish, first Kurdish republic called Red Kurdistan that was proclaimed in 23rd, I think, and lasted several years. And Georgians, of course. And this is what South Caucasus has been always associated with, this multi-ethnic piece of land, mountainous land, that has been always divided between the empires, Russian Empire, Persian Empire, and Ottoman Empire. It comes, the story goes that Stalin gave that part of Armenian populated land to Azerbaijan when Soviet Union was formed in, I think, in 1921. From the Armenian perspective, this is from when the injustice started. Karabakh conflict started with the rise of national consciousness, I think, of all the people of Soviet Union in the 80s, mostly in the 80s, but I think it all started from the 60s and 70s when people started talking about the genocide. Because talking about genocide was something that people did not consider comme il faut. I don't know how to explain, but the survivors of genocide who were in Armenia, they would, just like all the survivors of this kind of horrible event, would not prefer talking about it. They wouldn't tell about it to their children. And only when people realized that this is actually what happened to Armenians in the Ottoman Empire in 1915, 1924, this is when they also started, the wake of national consciousness appeared. And the people of Nagorno-Karabakh, who were, as it says in lots of books, I guess, they've been oppressed by the Azerbaijani government, and there was this policy of Azerbaijanizing Karabakh, which meant, and I learned about this firsthand from people of Karabakh, of Artsakh, because I lived there in 2017 for a year. And I've been talking to people about this, and I've been interviewing them because I also produced a couple of documentaries in Nagorno-Karabakh. So they've been telling me that in Nagorno-Karabakh autonomous oblast region district, there was always a deficit of everything, while Azerbaijan, like the mainland Azerbaijan, had everything. For example, people would always go to Aghdam market to buy stuff because there was nothing in the Karabakh itself. The roads in Karabakh were always in bad condition. At some point, they stopped. They were just moving all the students, graduates from Azerbaijani universities, to teach in Nagorno-Karabakh, and of course, it was being done in Azerbaijani language. So, and populating the area with more and more Azerbaijanis. And then when you see the ratio of Armenians versus Azerbaijanis, you would see throughout the history that it was increasing. It was drastically increasing, you know. So this is when Armenians realized that they're being really oppressed, and you know, they regarded this as an attempt of Azerbaijan government to eliminate Armenians, just like it was done during the genocide, I guess. So people started gathering and talking about this. Then they started, you know, making signatures for people to agree to separate from Azerbaijani USSR and join Armenian USSR. And this was the process happening in late 80s. I know about this also because one of the first meetings of Karabakh Committee. This is the committee that was talking about this issue and organizing it, took place in Stepanakert State Drama Theater, which is an abandoned building. So yeah, I know about this building, that this is where this is the only community space that they had in Stepanakert, and that's where they were gathering. And then slowly there were protests happening in Yerevan as well. And in the beginning, they had a different background. It was all about this Naidit chemical plant closure, because it was for environmental reasons that it had to be closed down. And then just in a day, and this is what the witnesses say, they noticed how the slogans became more and more politicized and turned into Karabakh must be a part of Armenia. Basically, that the demand changed from this environmental cause to Karabakh's status, you know. And that was back in '88. And then the war, the full-scale war started with Azerbaijan. And there's some books, some historians also mentioned that the collapse of Soviet Union started with the pogroms. And the pogroms are the ones that happened in Sumgait and in Baku, where the Azerbaijani population directly attacked the Armenian population. And there were massacres and severe violence that happened there as an attempt to ethnically cleanse Azerbaijan of Armenians. And so the full-scale war started, and both sides had not independent armies, but both sides are claiming that the other side was supported by the KGB, Soviet forces. And the funny thing is that both sides were going to Georgia to buy weapons from Georgia. So like Armenian and Azerbaijani men were going to Georgia, having tea together, talking together, buying their arms, going back to their countries, and then fighting each other. This is also a personal evidence from that I've heard from people who were present there. So this is what happened. Thousands of people were killed on both sides, and over 1 million people became refugees, lost their homes, and there was ethnical cleansing both in Armenian and Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijanis and Armenians lived together in both countries, and also in Nagorno-Karabakh. But after the war, during the war, Armenia ethnically cleansed all Azerbaijanis. Azerbaijan made an ethnic cleansing, and the only Armenians that stayed in Azerbaijan were the women who were married to Azerbaijani men, and they had no choice. They could not go back anywhere. Most of the mixed couples actually moved to Russia. This is what happened. And I have friends who are mixed couples, who are children of mixed couples. And actually, these are the people who really suffered hard during this war, the 44-day war, because they just did not know how to react, what to do with their second half, you know. And so there are the evidence that there are this mixed couples already says that there was at one point peaceful coexistence. But also, even if we consider this as an exception, though it's not, because there are lots of people, and we can also have the case of Georgia, Mardyuli district, where there are lots of villages where Armenians and Azerbaijanis live together peacefully until now, right now. And I've been there a couple of times, and it's just mind-blowing for me, being from Armenia and having discovered this phenomenon